Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Frontline Conversations. Professor Thomas Müller teaches at the University of Würzburg, where he works with students and researchers on education, especially for young people who struggle with emotional and behavioral challenges. But today, he's here to talk about something all of us deal with every single day, even if we don't notice it: trust. At the Madras Institute of Developmental Studies, he gave a talk asking a question that sounds simple but really isn't. Can we plan trust like we plan a career, a budget, or a wedding guest list? Or does trust just happen without guarantees, without a safety net? In a world of blue ticks, background checks, and dating apps that promise these better matches, Professor Mueller reminds us that trust isn't a product you can compare or add to a cart. It always involves a bit of risk, which makes it uncomfortable. And maybe that's the point. Welcome to Frontline Conversations, Professor. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start off with what is trust really? And when we say I trust you to another person, what does that actually mean?
That means that we reduce the complexity of the world we live in, that we free ourselves from the urge or the need to control each and everything. And on the other side, that we accept that we can be hurt when we trust others.
Okay, so you contrast rational choice theories with this idea that trust is uncontrollable.
Yeah.
If I were to tell you that a young person who's been raised on metrics and ratings and reviews, what is uncontrollable trust? What would it mean to a young kid growing up like that?
I don't think that this automatically has an influence in the ability if such a child or such a young people can trust or cannot trust. But I would try to explain that trust contains pre-reflective parts. That means we trust before we can think about it. It just happens. And there are many examples. Children do not decide if they want to trust their parents or not, if it's a normal family, and if nothing very dramatic or traumatic happens in these families. So they just trust. And if you fall in love, you just trust. You don't make rational decisions, even if there may be good reasons implicit why you fell in love or why you trust.
All right. Interesting. So let's say I scroll through someone's social media, their Instagram, their Twitter, their LinkedIn, and I read some reviews, and this is before I go and meet them. Am I lowering risk or am I building trust? Like, how would you categorize those activities?
No, you're trying to control. Maybe you want to be sure about the quality of the relationship or what you can expect from the other person. That might make it more difficult to give trust to the other person because there are a lot of reasons. You have checked the surrounding, and if we just meet, then trust can happen. And if you have checked all these things, then you always relating it to the person that is in reality in front of you. And that might be a problem. Not necessarily, but it might be a problem.
All right. Now, my next question is a slightly loaded one, but give it a go anyway. Is slow trust stronger trust, or would the opposite be the truth?
I don't know if the categories of low and slow trust are right or not. I don't think that we can trust very fast or very slow. It just happens or it happens not.
Happens organically.
So there is no metric. There's no time, no path that we have to walk, and then trust will come. So it comes or it doesn't come. But on the other side, if it's shattered or if it is broken, it will not come back so fast. Even if there are reasons that would justify trust again, if it's lost once, and it's very difficult to come back to trust or to a trustful relationship.
Once it's gone,
it's gone. Maybe not for forever, but it's difficult to rebuild it.
Yes, absolutely. Now, we've spoken quite a bit about the speed at which trust can be formed. It happens organically. I want to delve a little bit more into that. And, instant trust. Is it genuine or is it just a projection of hope?
This is a difficult question. I don't know if there is instant trust. So we know from psychology, from people like Erickson, that there is a phenomenon like that we call basic trust. But there's a lot of discussion going on if this is something instant, or this is like a gift, parents give to a child, or is this something which is born? I think it's a kind of interpretation of how sensitive parents handle with their very young children. If trust can grow, if they see our parents' trust in the world, how it works, into other people, into institutions, they don't have fear to meet different situations, different people, and so and they have a secure relationship with them. So it for them it might be easy to trust them.
You also distinguish trust from reliability.
Yeah.
How would you describe the difference between the two?
Yeah. So if one is reliable, then he's reliable or she's reliable in the sense of competencies, of skills, of special abilities. For example, a pilot that flies a plane. So we rely on him or her that he has enough training, that he was checked, and that he follows all the rules and so on. But we don't have to trust this person. Normally we don't meet the person. So it's enough to rely on her. And if we have made a lot of experiences with reliability, for example, with the airline or with a certain shop or whatever, then trust can come, but it's not necessarily connected. So reliability can be enough. We rely on skills and abilities. On the other side, reliability is always a part of trust, but it's not connected to abilities or competences. When we trust, we rely on that the other one will have the goodwill not to hurt me. So the reliability and the phenomenon of trust has a moral or an emotional dimension, while the reliability without trust just is connected with abilities and
All right.
skills.
Interesting. So we've spoken mostly about people and human connections so far. I want to shift gears a bit and talk about institutions, yes, along the same parameters that we have been speaking on so far. So can institutions be reliable but not trustworthy in your view?
This is a big question also in the trust research. If trust is a phenomenon that only exists between humans, or if we are able to trust institutions. And of course, it depends on the experiences we have with institutions. So do we trust the police, or do we trust the media, or do we trust the school, or is it always certain people that we connect in our mind or in our experiences with the school, the police, or the politics? On the other side, institutions stand for certain values. They stand for or they are known for certain structures, and they have certain responsibilities. So maybe it is also possible to trust into these responsibilities or into that structures. Also, if we don't know anybody who works at the police, or if we don't know any politician.
Yes. So, going a bit forward with your answer that you've given just now, I want to, broaden the horizon of our conversation a bit and bring into the foray trust in institutions, particularly media houses. We live in a time when trust in legacy media houses is dwindling at a remarkable degree here in India and all over the world to a certain degree as well. But to an alarming extent in India, from what we've been seeing over the last decade and a little longer than that. Could you speak a little bit more about that, from what you've seen and read and viewed over the last 10 to 15 years? How and why is trust in legacy media houses dwindling, and what impact does that have on social media, and how does that play out for young people today in the world?
I mean, there is a big opportunity, we can say opportunity for social media or other medias to manipulate people. So we can observe that more and more people are losing trust into institutions like media institutions.
Yes.
And there might be a number of reasons why they lose trust in institutions like that. One is maybe not to resist or not to feel very well with the ambiguity or with the complexity of the word. And they want to have clarity. They want to know what is right or wrong, and not a critical view or a skeptic view on certain circumstances. And so in my observation, maybe I'm not right, but in my observation, I think there are more and more people who trust the mistrust and form themselves to new communities, to new parties, and try to found institutional things or structures in that kind of communities or groupings. So a mistrust or trusting the mistrust seems to be a kind of the signature of our time, and media, also serious media, is maybe a victim also of these developments.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now, stemming from what you said and going back to society, what happens psychologically and politically when distrust just becomes the default? And can a society even function without trust at all?
From the sociology perspective, these people would say no. We have to say no, it does not function, or it does not function in the way we know it so far. I would say, as an educationist, I would say mistrust is an attitude to look at the world, and trust is an attitude to look at the world. It's not the opposite, trust and mistrust. But if you mistrust, then the world gets narrow, and your chances to learn, to explore, to see new things are much more limited than when you trust. You can be hurt, but you can explore wonderful things on the other side.
Yes. It goes without saying that we can't have a complete conversation about trust without including AI, as we live in this age of algorithms, Yeah. Today, we've got dating apps and credit scores and background checks and these reputation platforms. With all of these, we're also outsourcing judgment to these platforms. So, yeah, your views and comments on that, and whether it's good, whether it's bad.
Maybe not good and maybe not bad.
Somewhere in between.
The question is from where the credibility comes, so that we are allowed to trust what AI helps us or supports us. And the question is, what are the contents that create AI, and who is creating that? Are these contents that AI uses to give you an answer or to support you in a certain question?
Yes.
And are these contents created in a serious way or in a reliable way, or are they not? And this is what we cannot control.
Yes.
On normal people like you and me, we can't control it.
And there's a lot of lack of clarity about the information.
That's totally true.
Yes. So, yeah, moving on. Can trust even survive in an ecosystem designed to optimize, measure, and commodify relationships, so to speak?
I'm not sure if it can survive or not. Coming back to trust or trusting the trust maybe would help to survive the complexity that we create with all these things we have mentioned. So if we grow up in an atmosphere that is full of trust with our parents, with our circumstances around, if we learn that trust is a value and that life goes on even if we make bad experiences in between with trust and or the chatted trust, then it might help a lot to overcome all these challenging topics.
All right. So, going back to algorithms, as we were previously talking about, do algorithms change the meaning of what an arranged marriage is versus a love match? You spoke quite a bit about arranged marriages as opposed to love matches during the seminar yesterday at the Madras Institute of Developmental Studies. So yeah, just your thoughts on that as well.
I wanted to make clear with that picture. I used this love match and arranged marriage as a kind of picture or as a symbol to explain that in the trust discussion there are perspectives who wants to convince us that we can decide to trust or not to trust. And I can understand it from a political view or from an economic view that it would be very helpful or interesting if we could promote decisions to trust. And that means we reduce control, we collect a lot of information, and then we decide, yes, I will trust or I will not trust. And I try to bring in the perspective that trust has an emotional dimension and it has a pre-reflective dimension. As I said before, we trust before we think about. So there are reasons why we trust, but we are not aware of these reasons. Especially, I think it's getting dangerous if we bring up reasons why we trust from the implicit to the explicit, because then we bring it into reflection. Then we think about it. Then we think if our trust is it justified or is it not justified? And then we damage ourselves, maybe relationships which have been very trustful for many years. So in my opinion, it's better to keep the good reasons for why we trust in the implicit.
See, okay. You also warn against this functionalization of trust.
Yeah.
When governments, corporations, or platforms manufacture trust, what are they actually producing?
I don't know if they really manufacture trust. Maybe they manufacture reliability if they are successful and if they are good. But if they really can promote trust, I'm not sure. I would say they can't do it. We can be reliable, as we talked about media or journalism, serious journalism. You can show your sources and where did you get the information. This is how you can show your reliability. And if you do it in a good way, and if I want to prove it and I see or she or he was right with these informations and with the sources, this is done very seriously, then maybe I will trust a media house. But we can't force it, we can't promote it. And I would also say trust depends on a practice and not on the spoken word. Because it could be a lie also, we can't know it. So if people want to promote trust, then they say, oh, trust us, we are the best insurance, we are the best party, we are the best clinic or hospital or whatever. But if it's justified or not, it cannot be seen by talking about it. It can be seen by what people do or what they don't do. So trust is justified by a practice and not by promoting it, by talking about it or going around and saying, I am the most trustful politician you can find or journalist you can find.
Yes, absolutely. Now, for Gen Zs or young millennials navigating relationships, friendships, and working equations in these hyper-connected spaces, what is one misconception about trust you think they should unlearn? Because there are a lot out there, with social media propagating, or I would say just promoting so many ideas and definitions of trust. And some of those come from mental health professionals. Some of those just come from self-styled influencers. Yeah. So there's a lot of content out there about trust. So yeah.
I think the experience should be trust is a wonderful risk. And it's worth to take the risk. And even if we fall or even if the trust is shattered, I would recommend not to stop trusting people and not more and not less.
Yeah, lovely. And, last but not the least, before we wrap up, trust can't be fully controlled, and we've established that, right?
It's just the quality of trust.
It's just the quality of trust. For better or for worse, we can't fully control it. So what is the healthiest way to approach trust since we can't control it and we have no option over that?
Yeah. Maybe the best way is not to think that there is a recipe or a technology and then we can reach trust. It's an experience that one has to make in life. And from my personal view, I have worked with a lot of families and children where there is no trust, a lot of mistrust, because these children have realized a lot of very traumatic experiences. So if we come back to the healthy way or to the best way, then that means to have parents who are sensitive with the needs of small children, who now know about the borders for children, who know about the how children can explore. So as circumstances where children can grow up in a trustful way and learn to trust in the circumstances in that where they live.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's wonderfully put. So that brings us to the end of our interview. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much for joining. Stay tuned for more.